Hello and welcome to our very first Percy Hedley Parent Partnership video. My name is Barry Reed, I'm Deputy Head Teacher at Percy Hedley School, and I'm joined here today by Hayley, who is one of our occupational therapists. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Barry.
So the last couple of weeks we've been looking at parent feedback and speaking to the team to try and get a bit of a feel for feedback which we get from parents. What have been the common themes?
There's, a lot of questions that parents might ask in things like coffee afternoons, in parent visits. But one of the biggest themes, and I think one of the most significant for parents of this age group, is issues around growing up and puberty.
So how is growing up and puberty different and similar for students who do have special educational needs and disabilities compared to those without?
Puberty is generally a challenging time for all children, and it can impact on their mood, it can impact on their interactions with friends and family relationships. However, for students with autistic spectrum disorder and special educational needs, it can be even more challenging.
So why is it more challenging for students who have autism?
Children with autistic spectrum disorder might find some of the changes associated with puberty very difficult to manage and to handle. For boys, it may be that they notice that their voice is deeper. There might be changes to their bodies. And for girls, the changes can be very obvious. Change can be very tricky for children with ASD, autistic spectrum disorder.
But we do know that for anyone, it's a difficult time in life.
Yes, I think puberty is something that you hear about. In every school you go into, people will talk about the challenges of puberty, how it impacts on someone's mood, how it will impact on their interactions. They might find that they're more irritable with their friends or their family, and that can be tricky for families to manage and handle. And I think that's something that every family will face around the time of puberty. But some of these symptoms can be greater for children with autism.
And what challenges might that bring for parents and carers at home?
With puberty, we talk about the changes that happen physically. Someone might need to shower more. They might, because they're sweating more. They might have greasier hair, and they might have to then wash their hair more often. Changing routines can be really tricky for children with autism who might have a set routine where they can tolerate having a shower. Because of their sensory difficulties, showering or bathing could be a tricky thing for them. Using things like deodorant, if someone has a strong sensory preference against certain smells, again can be very challenging. So having to firstly accept these changes, but then to have to adapt and change the routines around them can be something that they find very hard to do.
So you mentioned about sensory. What do you mean by that?
A lot of kids can't cope with being washed or bathed, and then they'll have one shower a week. So when they start going through puberty and you're sweating, you need to shower more often, it's a massive level of distress, because not only have their body changed, but then they haven't had more showers and they don't like showering. And then, having to wash the hair more when they hate washing the hair. All those things can be really challenging from a sensory perspective.
Have you any advice or guidance for parents and carers around this topic?
I think we understand that it's a really tricky time, so it would be great if parents and carers contacted ourselves to talk through any specific concerns that they have. I think it's just as well about acknowledging that this is a tough time and it's a tricky time, and the things that they're going through, other parents are likely to be going through as well. So there are other people who are in a similar situation.
I mean, it's a huge area, isn't it? It's an absolutely huge area. That must be difficult for parents and carers, and I think because it is so vast and it's so individualised, isn't it, for each individual person?
It's a really tricky time, and it's different for each child that we work with, but we very much know the students well. So I would advise parents to come and talk to us about their child and their difficulties, and we can certainly look at how we can support them around growing up.
Thanks for watching, and please add comments below if you'd like to know any more about any of the topics which we've covered, or any other topics. We rely on your feedback to make sure that future videos are tailored around the content which you would like to see.